Okay, so how's everybody doing? We're finally going to get around to doing a review on our jumping jack trailer. We've been wanting to do this for a little while, and today is the day, so hang in there. This may or may not be a very long video, not sure yet, but I'm going to go through as much as I can. Shanna's going to go through some stuff as well, and we're just going to talk about what we know, what we like and dislike. So hang in there and we'll go ahead and get started. So I do want to point out right here, made in the USA. If you get the chance, always buy American. Don't worry about buying the cheaper stuff that's made overseas. Most trailers are made here in the US, but this one's made in the USA. I thought it was Ogden or another city, but they're stamping this as Salt Lake City. So clean it off a little bit. If you want, the phone number's right here. So it's going to be 866-461-7001. And that is for the Jumping Jack Company. If you'd like to give them a call, if you want some more information on anything, absolutely give them a call, and they'll answer any questions that you have. We talked with a couple of the representatives from the company at the Outdoor Expo. Very nice people, very willing to help and answer any questions that you want. So there you go, Jumping Jack. That's their logo. I guess it is a jackrabbit jumping. I guess that makes sense. But it's not a bad logo, pretty cool. So first off, what I want to do, I'm going to start kind of from the front of the trailer and work around to the side. Both sides are obviously going to be the same, so there's no reason to go on both sides and talk about the exact same stuff. But first off, as far as towing, this goes on to a 2 3/4 inch ball. It's good. We have a Dodge Ram lifted up a little bit. It's got 35-inch tires on it, so it's a little bit higher up. And this, with almost a straight out ball, sits a little bit low. So the trailer is pretty high, so you might need to get a riser for your receiver to be able to help keep this thing level. Being a double axle, kind of want equal pressure on both of those axles so you don't have all the pressure on one set of tires. So pretty obvious stuff. That's going to pull back, that's the release. Typical trailer things. It does come with a locking pin for it. It's got both of your safety chains. That's typical with any trailer. The tongue jack is pretty good. It's nice and smooth. I haven't had any issues with it. It's a 3,000 pound jack, so it's plenty suitable for the tongue weight on this trailer. And that's one of the first ones. I'm not sure about the tongue weight, but I'm going to put it up right here whenever I find out what it is. That's one thing I didn't research. We're kind of doing this on the fly, and just to note, we didn't take any notes. We're just talking about it as we know it, kind of ad-libbing this whole video, so we're not going off of a script or anything like that. So one thing I do want to talk about, the 7-pin connector. This is a new one. The one that we had, I believe that was original. We bought this used from somebody in Arizona. Arizona has an average humidity of about 0. It's extremely dry here. Plastics and rubbers do not last at all. We were having issues with the lights when we first took this up. Traced it down to the 7-pin connector on the trailer, not on the vehicle. And as I took the screw out to disconnect it, the whole thing crumbled apart. So I don't blame any of that on Jumping Jack at all. I blame it on Arizona weather, but it's something to kind of keep in mind. Also, again, it's going to be with any trailer that you use. It's going to have that kind of issue. It's a very typical, common setup with the 7-pin. Works very good. There's a little bit of room up on the tongue. So this one was already set up. The previous owner put two 15 pound, propane tanks on here. That's probably what we would have done anyway, so it was great to already have that done. But you do have a little bit of room. You could do a dual battery setup, just getting a plate mounted on here, and you could pretty much set it up any way you want. That's one thing that I say about this trailer that I've learned over a short amount of time, is that it's kind of an erector set. You get a base model, and then you can just attach things any way you want, and make it very personal and customizable. So with that, my old age, there are these pins here. This holds the doors closed on it. I usually stick them in this little hole and hang them over just so I have a place to be able to put them and I don't forget where they're at. I pulled those out a minute ago when I was just kind of going through some things, so it's good to have a place for it. There's some carabiners thrown on here as well, so there's a lot of different ways. I like to put bolts back into place, kind of where they go, so I don't lose them. I lose stuff. Okay, this right here, the black. This is going to be the cover for the actual tent when it's packed up. What you're going to do is it rolls off, and as you see in a few different videos of the unpacking and stuff like that, probably not very many of them, but the top of the bag rolls down and it sits right here. With the propane tanks, these get in the way of it, so it doesn't really look like it's supposed to look because of the tanks. But this will hang down in front, and then there's this flap right here that's going to go over, and there's different ways that you can secure that. I'll have to see. I think it's up underneath, but there is a clasp right here. So that's about all that for the front. Towability I went over in the first impressions video. If you haven't seen that, check that out. You can see what our first impressions are of the trailer as we got it, just as a quick overview and some of the things like that. It does tow very well. There hasn't been an issue really at all. Coming up today, there was a little bit of sway, but I was pretty tired when I was driving. I think I was just moving the steering wheel a little bit, and it was emphasizing that. So tow's really good, weight capacity is really good and all that. So okay, to move on around, still in the front, if you see right here, it's one of the accessories. We're going to go through the accessories at the end of the video, so we'll go ahead and pull this off and show you the setup and stuff like that. We do have somebody else here with a jumping jack that already has one set up. We're going to go ahead and talk to them and see if they're interested in maybe putting any input in or having any of their equipment in this video. But they have the largest of large jumping jacks. It's a sweet setup. They have the regular one. It's not the Blackout, but it's the biggest trailer with the biggest tent. They have a lot more experience than we do with it, so they might be able to add something. We'll see how that goes. But this right here is a table. As you can see, I've got it bungee corded. I got bungee cords here as well for the propane tanks for a little extra security. But this will come out. It's got just simple cotter pins that hold it in. But one of the downfalls to it, just having the cotter pins, or those pins, I don't know if they're cotter pins, holding it in, it rattles a lot. So that's why I have the bungee cords holding it tight as possible. And it keeps it from rattling like that. It makes it a little bit better. But this is a dual purpose thing. You can take it off, it's going to unfold into a table. It's also going to lift up to here. So it's part of the cargo trailer aspect of it as well. So it's going to be basically the whole front of the trailer, and then you can put the sides up to turn it into a utility trailer, basically. So, and there's probably videos on that. We're not going to take the tent out and show you how that works. But that is dual purpose. It's a table and the front of the trailer. Okay, so now to walk around. See if you can get up underneath. Alright, so I'm kind of underneath the wing right here. This is going to be one of the beds above me right now. But just kind of wanted to point out, it's got the nice Blackout logo on the side. But that looks pretty good as far as the Blackout. On the regular jumping jack, it's just going to say jumping jack on the side. So it's a little bit different. It's not too obnoxious or anything, but looks pretty good. The Blackout has LED crystal lights. All the lights all the way around the trailer are white, and they work pretty good. You know, once you get them on, they are fairly bright and everything. So moving on down, there's going to be 2 notches right here. This is for the accessories that we're going to go through at the end of the video or later on. This is what's going to hold the water jug holder, I guess it is, the jug holder. I'm not sure exactly what they call it. But this sits in here. Just unfortunately, whenever you fold these wings out, it will not fit underneath, at least with the water jug in it. So we have them off right now, and I guess that's about it for that. So we'll go through those in a little bit and show you a little bit more about it. So the frame, the tongue stops about right here. All the welds seem really good on it. I was kind of looking around at it, and it seems nice and stout. The bottom of it has 3 internal beams going across. They're 1x2 steel beams, plus the front, back, side to side. So it's got quite a bit of steel reinforcing everything and making it nice and strong. Moving up a little bit further, These fenders are extremely sturdy. You can stand on them. I'm 230 pounds and I could probably jump up and down on it. I have stood on them before and it never budged, bent. No hesitation at all. It's got a little bit of extra support here, and in between the two tires has an extra support there just for rigidity. So one more marker light. This is going to be an amber facing forward. It's good that you can see it in the rear view mirrors. Perfectly fine. Sticks out just enough to be able to see it, just for location of the trailer while you're pulling it, especially at nighttime. Okay, so to move down a little more, got the tires. These tires, 235 85/16. It's a good sized tire, fairly wide for a trailer tire. I've heard some different stories about the 205s just causing some problems, getting a lot of blowouts and different things like that. These are the 235s. They're pretty good. It's an E-rated up to 2,778 pounds, I guess. So I'm not a pro at towing, but I'd assume that plus this tire plus the other two tires is going to give you your total weight capacity on the rubber. So that's pretty good. Raceline rims. I believe they're aluminum alloy. I'm not sure. They don't look like steel, but fairly light. I think they look pretty good. It's a nice rugged kind of Jeep look and off-road look. They look pretty good. And I'm pretty happy with those. So then we got two of these, both axles. I'm going to go ahead and take you underneath real quick and show you the bottom of it. Apparently it makes good for dog resting. Okay, Cass, look out. Okay, so this is it from the axles, looking to the back. And from the axles, looking to the front. We do have the spare tire right there. Little electrical engineering. I'm not sure if that's exactly from jumping jack or if that has been moved at all. But yeah, there's a couple little notches in here to be able to get access to the electrical. All the electricals ran inside the frame. And got the ground sticking out and stuff like that, but it's got access points to be able to get to it. This does have brakes. Kind of show you, see if I can get to it. So there's the electrical for the brakes going into the drum. I forget the type of suspension this is, but it basically lifts the axle up higher than the center of the wheel. So if you look at that, it gives you a clearance higher than the center of the wheel. Clearance is absolutely awesome on this thing. That's up underneath the trailer. Not a whole lot else to talk about as far as underneath the trailer, except it's not very comfortable on all these branches. So I'm going to pull on out of here and keep on moving. Now for the back of the trailer. It's got an extra reinforcement right here. Nice good welds. This is going to be a red LED for the back marker, and then an amber for the side. So it's got pretty good light right here, and it's going to have the same kind of light up front. It lights up pretty good. I'm happy with it. It's noticeable. So I've got bungee cords all over the place on this because it just seems to be convenient to be able to bungee things. That's about it for here. So moving around. All right, so now this is a very usable space that we use. We basically have it as our kitchen. Right now we got a little bit of grease on stuff, but it's only going to work like Armor All, I guess. But we can fit a couple Tupperware containers that has all our kitchen stuff, cooking utensils, salt, pepper, spices, stuff like that. Always keep paper towels on hand. Not so much about our setup as it is the utilitarian part of the trailer, but it works pretty good. We got a flat top grill on it right here, and we also have a 2-burner Coleman. A little bit of extra room to be able to put some stuff cooking and stuff like that. So got 2 stoves and all our accessories on one side of the wing. So it works pretty good. There's plenty of room. One of the best things I like about it is my utensils. I can toss them right there. This is the handle for opening and closing the doors, or the wings, whichever you call it. But it works really great for the kitchen area to be able to use it, to be able to hang stuff right here. So I like it. I do a lot of the cooking, and that's awesome. It's very much like the handle to an oven in a commercial kitchen, You always have your burners up here in the oven about right at the same spot, so totally natural for me to put stuff there. So moving around back, we're going to go through all the accessories. These are the stairs that we got. They almost deserve a review of their own, but we'll probably get into those quite a bit. One thing I want to say is this grate right here. If you have pets or anything like that, you're going to want to pick up at least a doormat or something. If not, go ahead and cover the whole thing. It's going to catch your pet's feet, claws, toenails and stuff like that. You just want to be careful with that. That's going to be a personal preference. It's, you know, we threw that up here and the dogs seem to kind of enjoy that area. Every once in a while my little Boston Terrier will come out here and I do get a little bit afraid. When it comes stock, it's going to come with a little tiny foldable footstool. Okay, so this is basically what you get. I believe this is the actual jumping jack one that they give you, and it's a foldable step like that. It's nice because you can fold it up and easy to carry and store and stuff inside the trailer or on the outside of the trailer. It's nice, but honestly, this thing's super flimsy. I do want to say that I work in retail stores, and I happen to be in a 99-cent store here in Arizona, and they had these for sale for, I believe, $4.99. I think, not to get into the accessory part of it, but they could have definitely upped the game a bit on this. We'll get into that more, and I'm sure that Shannon has some comments to put on this as well, but just to show you, this is what you get. It's probably going to be on the website and everything. I highly recommend anything but this. There's better options out there. Okay, so you might not be able to hear me all that good because I'm a little bit behind the mic, but I just wanted to show you the taillights. Yeah, don't care about the plate. But these are the crystal taillights. Gonna move into here. You got 3 marker lights right dead center, and they're fairly bright. And then the one more over there. And since I'm here, get one more underneath. And then that's about it as far as the walk around on the outside. So the floor of it is going to be basically pine 2x6s. Nothing too special. By the looks of it, it doesn't seem like it was treated from the factory. That's one thing that we're thinking about doing, maybe as an upgrade, or at least I've been thinking, is doing some sort of deck covering or waterproofing or staining of some sort, just to make it look a little bit better, because it is very raw and it is very much like a utility trailer at this point. But it doesn't look bad either. It's definitely nice to have the deck. It's nice to have the wood deck, and haven't had any problems with it. This is a 2017, and there's nothing that's come loose. All the screws are tight, all the boards are tight. No complaints at all on that. Just to mention, the other side of the trailer is going to be exactly like this side of the trailer. All the lights are the same, all the accessories are the same. It's an exact mirror for both sides of it. We do have a little cleaner spot on the other side, but that's besides the point. So from here, we're going to go ahead and talk about the tent a little bit and get a little more deep into that. So as far as the outside of the tent goes, dial that in a little bit better. Stands pretty tall. I mean, I would say it's probably, I don't know, 7 foot on the inside, plus another 3 feet for the trailer. So it's just pretty tall, just to kind of give you an idea. I'm 6 foot tall. So there you go. That's about all I can say about that. It's got a little bit of a different type of shape to it. It definitely dips down in the middle. I'm sure that has to do with the construction on it, but as you can see, the windows, it's got lots of ventilation as far as that goes. Okay, so as far as the outside goes, it's made from a good, seems to be very durable canvas that's waterproofed from Jumping Jack, and haven't really put it to the test as far as the rain goes, but I've talked to some people that say they've had absolutely no problem. Just whenever you do run it through some rain when you're camping, or whatever you're doing with the trailer, whenever you get it home and set up for storage, pop it open, let it dry 100% before you put it back in, so you don't worry about mildew or anything like that. Because canvas is prone to getting a little bit of mildew in it, and I think once you get it in, it's a little hard to get out. So, okay, so you want to go ahead and take care of the moisture ahead of time, be proactive about it. The bottom of it, the whole bottom of the tent is kind of a tarp. It's like a plastic rubberized tarp. It seems to be very durable before. We were actually putting the tent up incorrectly right at first when we got it, and we were putting a lot of pressure on this part of it, and we had no issues with it at all. So that is waterproof, runs all around the whole base of the tent and on the sides just for a little bit right here. This is also made to where you can wrap it around. Could have gotten it a little bit tighter. And that's going to keep any water from getting up underneath the tent as well. So that's pretty good. It's got 2 openings on every wall around it. 2 windows, 2 windows, 2 windows. The front's got the front door and 1 smaller window. So it actually has plenty of ventilation. I was a little bit worried about it being hot in the summertime, but it's not too bad. You open the windows up and get a breeze coming through, and it's great. So yeah, not much to talk about as far as the outside of it. It does have a little bit of a Pringle shape on the top, and I believe that's for the construction of opening and closing it, making that easy. Not sure exactly why they did it, to be honest, but that is kind of the shape. You've seen that in any of the pictures, any other videos that you've seen. You already know that much, so there's not much to say about that. So as far as the outside of the tent, that's about it. It does sit in here, and it is removable. I believe it weighs about 200 pounds, so it's going to be a little bit of a task to be able to remove it and use it as a utility trailer, or if you needed to replace it or just take it out of the trailer for any reason. I have noticed a little bit, like even right now, it's slid back a little bit from being on the bumpy roads. There's nothing mounting it to the trailer. It just sits in there. So as you're kind of bouncing around and stuff like that, it is going to move a little bit and shift. So as it shifts, you want to be kind of mindful of it. I'll bump it up. I've done it once. Just kind of bump it up to the front of the trailer again, just to make it all nice and flush and good to go. But that's about it for the outside of the trailer. Now we're going to go ahead and go inside.
Hi everyone! So this is the inside of the jumping jack. As you can see, this is kind of our setup. We've got no extensions on the other side. So it's about the size of a twin size. And what we did was, because the mats are so hard, we actually put memory foam on top, and then put a blanket on for the pups. They don't use it very much because they like to sleep with us. So we do the extensions outside for the bench. You've got the table. And this can actually, there's one screw that you can unscrew, and it twists. And that screw, I believe, is right here. It's underneath. And you would just unscrew it. You would twist it this way. There's a hole right here. And the way this stays on is there is a hole with a post, and then there's this clip. So to unclip it, you would press on that, and it would pull up, and then it folds all the way to the ground. Well, if you want it the other direction, you would unscrew that screw, and you would unhook it, twist it, and then put that bar back in this hole. As you can see, a lot of windows. It gets very warm in here if the windows are not down. And it does get warm in here even with the windows down. We're in Arizona, and it's about 78 degrees outside. And it's a little warm, but there's a nice breeze coming in. So I know that there are a lot of tricks people have done with putting stuff on top to try to reflect the sunlight. We might try to do that at some point. We haven't gone there yet, so we're still trying to get used to things. On this side, we've got the extender bars, And then we've got the regular mats. And then we also have the memory foam. And then what we do is we put a sheet on top of that. And then we have our 2 blankets. Last night it was a little chilly, but it wasn't bad. There is a port back here that if you want to run your propane tank hose through there, that's already done. I'm gonna have to remember to close that up. But there is there's already a hole there, so you can pop that up. You can put your propane tank hose through, and then you can use a Mr. Buddy heater. Or Mr. Heater Buddy. And that is what we will do during the winter when we camp. One of the main reasons we wanted this was so we could go camping year round. And the only season that we couldn't camp was winter. So, that's the reason we bought it. The top is white, and so that is helpful with the heat. In Arizona, you really never want to get something that it has a black or a dark top, just because it really holds in the heat. And it brings some light in. It does get darker in here when the windows are closed up, of course, but it doesn't get dark. Lighting in here, because we have no electricity set up yet, you can do a whole bunch of things. There are people that do batteries with an inverter and they string lights. This one, we just have a little lantern for right now. We're still trying to figure out what we want to do with that. But this is the 8-foot tent. And so for the 2 of us and the 2 dogs, this is perfect. We can indeed come in here. We can take the attachment from the bench and put it there so that we can have meals in here. But we like eating outside. That's part of why we come camping. So what we have pretty much decided is that we will use the bench. We'll bring a little table that we can use. We'll do benches on each side, and we'll have a meal that way. So we can be outside. But it's nice to have this if the bugs are too bad. The carpet. So the carpet that they offer is this. And it doesn't attach to anything. And you can look, it needs to be swept out pretty bad. But this is outdoor carpet. And the great thing about that is you can take it out. It's not hard to take out. It's a square. And you can take it and you can hose it down and then let it dry and then put it back. Perfect. We've got dogs. If you've got kids that are messy, that's perfect. I do know that a lot of people have put down other carpet that is kind of like shag carpet, or, you know, it's something that's softer. Those are generally people that live in colder climates. It helps with insulation. But we, so if you look at this, see all these? We've got to cut those. And they're all like that. They were all like that at the Sportsman's Expo, the International Sportsman's Expo in Scottsdale. And so it's not something that it's because it's used or anything like that. It is just how it is. So it made it through one owner without being cut, and so we will be cutting those because it drives me crazy.
You want to show the table and how the table works and do the beds and undo the beds and hook them all back up and show the...
I think we can... Okay, so one thing I want to point out is when you have the extenders on, it makes this really nice area. It's not super deep, and it's not super high, but you can put stuff in there to keep it out of the way, which is where those should be, probably. But that is one place. I like to kick my shoes in there so that I'm not tripping on them and I know where they're at.
Okay.
Okay, so now for the sturdiness of the tent itself. It's sturdy. It's got these bars. And I'm really kind of yanking on these. It holds it up. It's the same thing if you have a hatchback. It's the same thing that holds your hatchback up. So those, basically when you push it up and you pull it down, that's what does it. There are pinch points, so you got to be careful of that. It's kind of in the back here. You got to be careful. And then over here in the same place. So you've got to be kind of careful with that when you're taking it up and you're putting it down. If you're not doing it correctly, you can really get hurt by those. Really bad. Now, height-wise, kind of the wrong person to be talking about this. I'm 5'2". So that's what I got. So Brian is 6 foot, and I don't think that he... Here. We're going to switch.
I can just do it, yeah.
We're going to switch real quick.
Yeah, so I'm 6 foot. I mean, I can touch it, but I got that much room. If I'm all the way over here, which you can't obviously stand on it, but if I'm on my knees or something like that, my head's not hitting. And I've got about 6-8 inches above my head all the way over to the bed without the extension. So yeah, in the middle, there's absolutely plenty of room here. So just a little bit on the construction. Everything's built really well. It does wobble a little bit, but you got to remember it's just basically one bar in different segments going around. There's no side supports or anything like that. But it's put together very well. The welds are nice. Big bolts on everything. 5/8 I think or something. I'm not too mechanically inclined, but heavy duty hardware. Pretty much all the way around. So there is a little bit of wear that you get on the inside of the tent from all this stuff, but it hasn't worn. It's just maybe a little bit of discoloring, but not bad at all.
So now, what you can do with lights is, because you've got this bar, is you can hang lights up on that. So you could use maybe Velcro straps. I've seen people actually wrap it. I don't know if I would do that, just because you've got pinch points. So when it comes to wires, I worry about that. So, but there's a lot of things that you can do. I know that where I told you about the propane hose, you can also use that to put electrical cords from a battery up into the tent, and then use an inverter. And that's how they can do lights. So one of the things about this table is it's pretty cheaply made. The idea is great, but the actual material they used is pretty bad. So the previous owner had he left the opening open a little bit, so there was some water damage. And it got in here, and this is particle board. We all know what happens to particle board when it gets wet, and then it dries. So it basically has ruined the aesthetics of the table. It's still perfectly usable, but it looks pretty bad. So we will at some point be trying to figure out how to put a different top on here. But right now, that's what it is.
Okay, so I'm doing a little first person point of view here. This is the larger one. We're camping with them. This is not our trailer. If you would like to take a look, that's what the regular logo will look like. and the lights amber in color and all that. Now what they did, if I can get it in here, right in between the wheels is a tube. That's going to be a filler for a 30-gallon water tank. And he has electric hooked up. He's got a 12-volt Optima battery that is hooked up to a typical RV pump, which is going to pump into an instant heat water heater. Then he has the lines coming up to his kitchen, and he actually has a faucet that I'm not going to play with because it is not mine, that has instant hot water for showers, dishes, and all that. He basically did the plumbing himself, picked up a cheap plastic faucet from Home Depot or Lowe's. So he has running water, 30 gallons of it, plus he can hold the containers that we have, while it's hot water, cold water, and just about everything he needs. We're going to consider maybe something like that with ours, but just to show you some of the accessories and things that you can do with these trailers, that's an awesome one right there. Okay, a little more first-person view here. I want to do a review on the awning. There it is. It is not on the jumping jack. And why is it not on the jumping jack? Well, seems like it'd be pretty easy to set up, and it's not all that bad, I suppose, but took a little bit to kind of figure out how it's assembled. Nothing really seemed right. It's got 2 white poles, 3 things of cord, one little black piece that looked like a tightener for the cords, but it actually wasn't. It connected to 2 white pieces, and it has 1 metal pole in the awning. Well, we hooked it up. The first problem I saw that I was like, I don't know if this is really going to work, is the lantern post, or the lantern post or pole that we have to hold the lantern. The awning goes right on top of that. So the potential for that to get burned or something goes way up. So I would say if you're looking at the large awning and the lantern post, you're probably going to have to pick one or two, or one of the two. I don't think they're going to work very good together. We didn't put it up, and it's sitting in the back of the truck because we're hopefully going to be able to try to take it back and get our money back. It's from a local camper place here in Arizona, and it got a little bit dirty just trying to put it up and messing with it. But we don't really care for it. We have our stairs right in the middle of the trailer. There has to be a big metal pole that goes right in the center. And then with that, you have to run a string out from that pole in the center that it basically puts all the tension to straighten the awning out. So you got to have a whole lot of pressure and weight on that pole in that line coming off the center for it to even work, to get it set up. And then for stabilization, I guess you got one on either corner that you run out 45 degrees and tack that in the ground. One reason we didn't do it is the ground's kind of hard right now. It's dirty, dirt, clay, hard. It looks like it was mud before. I'll show you. So that's the ground that we're looking at, and there's no way to really tack that in to have that kind of pressure. I'd say 50 pounds of pressure to be able to pull that awning tight. So we do not like it. I was really excited to get that up and do a review on it and show you guys what that's like. It's big, it's massive, it's got tons of shade. It's also extremely inconvenient in those ways, at least in our opinion. Depending on your situation, if that's right for you, that might work. That's great if maybe you have your entryway onto the trailer off to either side. That might work a little bit better. And if you're going to be camping in places where you can stake and have a lot of pressure on that staked line, that's going to be good for you too. For where we are in Arizona, we got harder ground out here. We do have some places that are a little bit better and a little bit softer to where we can make it work. But we're still going to have the issue with having that line running out the front, tripping hazards early in the morning when we come out to use the restroom. Possibly if alcohol's involved, you get it. So we don't really care for it. It's still sitting in the back of the truck, and that's where it's going to stay, and we're going to try to get our money back on that, just for the fact that we really don't like it. I wish there was a better setup for that and a better way to do it, but that's the way they did it. We're going to look into the small awning. We might end up getting stuck with both of them. They're not very cheap, and if they don't take it back, maybe we'll try to sell it used or something like that. So hey, if anybody wants a large awning, good deal on one. Anyway, real quick, our friends that are camping with the full-size trailer have the small awning, and they weren't really setting it up, but they were nice enough to set it up to show us the difference in why they went with the small one. They got it new. They were talking to the dealer, and the dealer talked them out of the large one and said they should probably go with the small one. So let me show you this real quick. So this is going to be the small awning. It's way up there. I'm not going to get in their business or anything. And it was pretty good. The setup was really easy. You basically run the pole all the way around the perimeter of it. You got to drop the front of this down, flip this over on top of it. That way the back of the awning is seated behind the tension point of the edge of the tent. And then you lift the tent back up, flip the awning back, and it basically sets. Then you just got these two lines right here. That pulls tension on it, and you're good to go. Really easy setup. Seems way easier and more functional than the large one. And as you can see, there is absolutely nothing in the way for getting in and out of your trailer. So that is not much of a review, a little bit of a complaint, but that's kind of where we're standing on the awning situation. So we're going to go through, there are a couple, and get some sunshine on me. Yeah, so there are a couple of the accessories that we can go over before we tear everything down. Dang. Okay, so there's a couple of the accessories on this trailer that we can go over before we tear it down and show the outside of it and stuff like that. So we'll go ahead and go through those, do those next, and probably start with that lantern pole. That's one of my favorites. I'd kind of like to get two, but they are a little bit pricey. $195 for the lantern pole, but I'd highly suggest one of them. So we'll get started with that.
Okay.
Can you see the whole pole?
You can see the whole pole.
Okay. It's recording?
Yep.
Okay. And then down to me? Okay. Alright, so I was going to mention I wanted to go ahead and do the pole here. This is for the lantern. And if you can see it, it's basically got two pieces here. Goes up. It's all, you know, I don't know if it's iron or steel, but it's built pretty solid. Just with the carabiner up top, that's for hanging the lantern. So I'm going to take it out real quick. The pins right here, they fit nicely here. This is for the tailgate. Whenever you put the tailgate up, it's going to lock into here, and that's what that's for. I like putting them back in their place so you don't lose them. But I'm going to take that out just to get a little more view. This dial right here, if you see, that's completely tight. Spinning it 1/2. Difficult to get one full turn before it starts hitting the top of the wing right here. So what I do So I'll push that in if I can. Oh, rock it a little bit, maybe just kind of push the bolt back down, then I can spin it again. And that's how you get it on and off. So this is a little inconvenient. We noticed on the older model that they have over there that it is not that way. This is for the 2017 model. They have it set up this way. Why? Don't know. They did some weird things for weird reasons, but you know, it's still a great product. Okay, so this is basically going to have that bolt, a nice rubberized with a steel insert on that for the threads. I haven't heard anything about it pulling out or anything. And it's also set in one way. It's got a smooth spot on the top, so it's not going to be able to twist inside when you're really putting pressure on it, which is a good thing, and the grip feels absolutely great. So this is the pole. It's actually really lightweight, which is kind of good. We usually slide it down in between the tent and the edge of the frame of the trailer. And it's a good spot for it just to kind of slide in and be out of the way. But I'll show you on here, if I can. It's going to have the two poles. It almost seems like it could be ambidextrous, but you can only put it on one way, and I use the inside one for that pole for the pin for the tailgate. I stick on that one. This one's going to be there. So what I usually do is I'll stick this in just enough to grab a thread, maybe one or two threads sticking out. Then I'll start threading it, and then I'll have to push it up a little bit, thread it more, push it up, thread it more, push it up, thread it more. So I'll show you. That's what I'm going to do right now. Oh, these two pieces right here are going to straddle the frame of the trailer. So that sets it up to where you can only use this one. So I'm going to stick that in right there, and that's just going to keep this from moving. So around the back side. Yep. Yeah, if you get in close, you should be able to touch it. Spin the ring on the very outside to make it look right. Yep. Nope. Very, very, very outside. Very, very, very right there.
Okay.
That look good? Okay, so when it's sitting all the way down, they're not lined up. Touch it. Focused. On my thumb. And you can. Okay, so I'm just going to feed it in a little bit. Get it set into the lantern pole. So now that's in there. Now I'm going to feed it up. That's a little too far. That's flush. I'm going to go with flush for now. Line this up, and it actually kind of sits in a little notch. You know, it sits in the right place. So I'm just going to push this a little bit and try to grab the threads. That grabbed the threads already. So that's all the wiggle room you have. If you can see how little that's moving. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it up, tighten it, push it up, tighten it. And actually what I do, I'm doing that for demonstration purposes, but I just use this. So I'm going to pull, spin, pull, oh, a little too far, spin. And it spins pretty easy when it's kind of loose. So pull, spin, and actually that is tight. Give it a little crank down, and that's moving the whole trailer. So that's on there nice and good. So then all you have to do after that, grab yourself a Coleman lantern, click it on, and you're good to go. It's also nice too, you know, when you're tired or something like that, it gives you something kind of to support a little bit when you're on the edge of this trailer, just so you don't go flying. But we have our stairs out here, so it's a little bit of a reach, a little easier for me than it is Shanda. She has a little shorter arms than I do. I have longer arms. But it just gives you a little bit of support if you need it for basically anything, just being tired or for drunk, whatever, you know. So yeah, that's it. This runs $195, which I think is a little bit pricey. One of the first things once we got this trailer, I'm like, I want one for over here because you can put one over there as well. For $200, is it really worth it? You can make that decision. For me, not right now. I don't think necessarily that's going to be worth it. This does put out plenty of light. These Coleman lanterns have been great since, what, the 1800s or whenever they started making them, but they've been around forever. They're fail-proof. Propane lantern, you know. Apparently bees like this too. It's bee approved. That's a cool looking bee at that. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, I like it. I'd kind of like to afford another one. Maybe one day I'll spend the money on it, but not as of right now. But this thing's good. It's really sturdy. It's got a lot of support up against the frame of the trailer. It does not really move a little bit, but it's good to go. So, holder, and that's about all there is for that. It's pretty good. I like it. Sturdy, good product.
So you're going to take it out. And you just take it off. So, and then when you pack up, you would put it like you would normally, which we'll go over later. To set it up, you can take any of the extensions, and what you are going to do is the first one, you're going to do like this. Is that right? I just did a couple. Okay. So you're going to fit it to where the triangle portion that sticks above the metal, so above the metal bar, is...
Spin it like this. You see?
Like that? Okay,
You got it?
so the part that sticks above the metal, that's going to be down for the bottom. So you'll see how I have it there. Okay. And you need to make sure that it fits under that bar. And then, with the second one, you are going to put it like so. And then you just put your mats on. You do them one at a time. What I do is I put them on. I'll fold the flap up. And then I'll take the second one. Put it down. And then I'll do that so that it's not falling. And then you can just do this. And then I put a cover over it because Scout has started to like to lay up here. So I'll just put his little cover on there. And then you got a bench outside where you can have coffee in the morning.
Nice and easy.
Nice and easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go. All right, so I want to go over the kitchen real quick. First off, you know, we use it, so I'm just going to clear everything off real quick. Little percolator we got works pretty good. So this is basically the kitchen set. I think a lot of the pieces are sold kind of separately. This is one separate piece. Let me set it aside. The water jug itself is obviously separate, kind of heavy. This is going to be one of the water jug holders. This is one of the ones that you can put up in the front of the trailer for transport. So this one's a multi-use as well. So there's that. This, basically you can hook it on either side over here. This will hold, we have a 75 quart Canyon cooler. Fits in here perfect. The only downfall I have to that, but I'll get to that in a minute here. But it does fit it. You could fit multiple jugs. You could put plywood down here. Use it for a whole bunch of different things that you might want to. You could put gas cans back here. Whatever you want. So that is one piece in its own. I'm just kind of deconstructing it for now, and then I'll reconstruct it. This is the main piece, I believe, that makes it the kitchen. This is what's going to allow you to put the water jug on top of the sink area. I think this is like 50, 60 bucks or something like that. I'm not positive on the prices, but this is the magic piece right here. So what this is going to do, you got a little small lip and a big lip. It's obvious you got a small bar and a big bar. So that's going to go in here. You kind of slide it any way you want. Put it in the middle. That seems to make most sense. Then constructing it back, you got this one here, has the small notches on it. That's going to go into the bottom bar. What this piece right here is going to do is it's going to stop this from tilting down. So it's going to give extra support to this, as well as what the trailer itself is giving support for. So, I mean, you can put some pressure on that. This piece right here, you got the big ones. The two poles are going to fit inside the small piece, and then it just drops right in. This goes on to the wing of the trailer, is the main support. So, with that said, I'm going to say this: if you have a spigot on a cooler, you have to put it in like that. I know it's leaking water. If you put it in like that, you're going to snap it. So stick it in and then slide it in that way. First thing we did when we had this got broken. So we had to run out to Bass Pro and get a new spigot. They sold that and we ended up getting another jug anyway just to have matching ones. So I had the valve open on it. That's why it was leaking a little bit of water, but got running water for that. So the kitchen piece, it is a little bit dirty. It's plastic. I mean, it's nothing special. It's nothing extremely durable, I don't think. I have a feeling the old Arizona sun is going to get the best of it at some point. And things aren't necessarily cheap for the jumping jack, so you can take care of it. It does come in its own sleeve, as well as the small part here. So everything comes in a really good canvas bag. This one is torn a little bit, but it has some sharp points. But that's going to be for this part that holds the water jug container. And then this one right here is for the kitchen table sink thing itself. So that's one good thing I've noticed is pretty much all the accessories come in a nice canvas bag that they match. It all looks good. So this just slides into there. Now, we use it like crazy. I think it's really good. It's a nice place to throw dirty dishes, wash everything up, and it does its purpose. Now, a couple complaints I have is if you come around this way and line up with this, if you look at this, this is tilted a little bit. I would be much happier if it was up like that, but just the width of the brackets down here will not allow that, so it is going to tilt a little bit. Not sure why they didn't get precise with it, but the problem is when your spigot's straight, guess what? It misses the sink. So I don't know why they really designed it that way, but they did. So what I have to do is just kind of tilt it over in an angle. So now when I open it, at least it goes into the sink, but it's a modification I got to do. The first spigot that we had, the tightest I could get it was straight up and down. So when I got the other spigot, I went through 3 or 4 different ones, unscrewing them and checking the threads. Because I think there's only 2 places that the thread will bite. And it's 0 and 180 degrees. So you're only getting one angle on this. But I found one that I can actually crank real tight without stripping the plastic threads. And it works. Get that puppy back in there. There we go. Okay, and with that said, that this is tilted, if you look at this, this tilts down a little bit too. So, if you look at the hole, it's a little bit dirty, but the hole is right here. I suppose you could put it the other way, but it seems to make sense to have all the water going to here instead of dripping over here and running down. So really the only way you're going to be able to put it is with the hole right here. So with that said, with it tilting down in an angle like that, it pulls up the water and does not drain correctly. Usually what I'll do is after I'm done with everything, I'll have to lift it up, which I shouldn't have to do, but that's not that big of a deal. I don't mind doing it. I kind of need to do that anyway and wash that out. I should have cleaned it a little bit better, but just took everything off. We're using everything as we're doing these videos, so I'm not really that worried about it. Hopefully you guys aren't either. Don't rip us apart for it. But yeah, this is good. I like it. I absolutely like it. This came with the trailer. And yeah, we didn't have to worry about making the purchase on it, so we're just kind of adapting to it as well. When we purchased it from the guy, he mentioned something that there's a hose that comes down. And it was a little bit dry rotted, but it didn't have a real good seat on the bottom of it. He replaced it with another hose that he couldn't find, but that's no big deal. He gave us the original hose with it. But I would probably say it comes with about a 2.5, 3 foot hose. Throw it away, go to your home improvement store, spend $3 or whatever on a different hose, make it a little bit longer to where you can drain your water anywhere you want. This is going to drop down basically like where it is now or close by, and it's going to splatter on your feet and stuff like that. So I don't even have it up there because it doesn't make that much of a difference. I just have it draining right below it. I maybe stand back a little bit and do the dishes and stuff like that. So but all in all, yep, it's very functional. It works. We can do the dishes. The dogs like to lick up some of the dirty water. So they're good like that. But yeah, that's the kitchen. It's a couple different pieces. We got the holder, which also holds a cooler. We got the kitchen sink. We got the bracket that holds the water. We got the bracket that holds the water bracket. 2 pieces. The actual bracket for the water jug, and then the water jug itself. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces to get this whole thing set up. A couple things are universal and multi-purpose. The only thing that really isn't is the bracket that holds this piece right here. So it's a pretty good little setup though. I use it every single time we go camping, and I'll continue to use it. It's good till it ends up falling apart or dry rotting or something, and then I'll replace it and keep using it. So I like this. This is the kitchen sink. And that's about it for that. Okay. Yeah, with the kitchen, I did want to add in one more thing with the kitchen. Is we have, I said it will hold that 70 quart or 75 quart cooler. Which that's a little bright, but that's the cooler that we're using. Fully loaded with food, packed with ice, that thing sags. I don't think it does. It sags. I don't think it does a real good job of supporting that much weight. I don't think it's made for that much weight. Will it work? Yeah. It's very reliable. I don't think so. I think it's going to end up bending the little tabs for the support. I wouldn't put a fully loaded, maxed out cooler in there for long periods of time. Does work, Don't recommend it. I'm not doing it anymore. I don't think it's going to be good for the setup. I'm just using it for the sink, but I just wanted to add that in, even though I said I was done. I remember that as soon as we quit shooting, so that's it as far as the cooler and that cooler holder. Okay.
Morning, everybody, or afternoon, or evening. So we're getting ready to take down the tent, but I did want to show you a few other things about the jumping jack because it was already kind of set up. So depending on how you have your table, we always have ours like this. This can change though. So if you are wanting to have it this way, you can, and I'll show you how to do that. So to put the table down, you press on this, and then you slide this up, right? Just like you're gonna set it up and take it down. Now, if you put it all the way down, there's one screw here. So if you take a Phillips screwdriver, make sure that it's the correct size so you don't strip the screw. You can actually take this and it will release. And you're going to need to take it out. Now, what I will tell you is, for some weird reason, I don't know if there's something behind it or not, but this is at an angle. I'm not sure why, but it is. So, once you have that, then all you're going to do is you're going to twist it. And then you'll put it back down. And you'll see the holes line up again. You can put your screw back. And now when you have it like this, for some reason, it's not at an angle. So I don't know if that's a design thing. I don't know. Oh, you know what? We did it wrong. What?
Flipping around the other way.
Okay, so I did it wrong. Just like you can. We don't usually have the table like this, so you're going to actually flip it around the other way. Make sure that the holes line up. It does have holes that will line up just like the other table.
Show the holes.
So here's the hole. There's the screw. Alright. So now what you're going to do is you're going to put the screw back. This part can be a little difficult. And again, it's at an angle. So, see? It's at an angle. I don't know why. So. So then you just flip it up, go down. Now, we have water damage again to this from the previous owner. There was water that got in and it warped this. So you'll notice it does not go under this clip. If there was not water damage, it would. So keep that in mind. That's another issue that we're going to have to deal with when we decide to refinish this. So it is still secure without that, but I'm not happy with it. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start the teardown. And so what we do is we go ahead and take the table down, and then we start with the benches. What I do kind of want to show you first is, though, how to make the actual bench, so the back of it. So in that case, what you do is you'll take one of the extenders, go that way.
Where's my doggy?
She's in here. Go ahead and turn around. Go back to your mom. Go back to your mom.
Mommy can't see my doggy.
Go back to your mom.
Mommy can't see him.
He's in here, but go inside. Go to your mom. Go to your mom. Yes.
I can't see him.
Go on. Turn around. Go on. Oh. Okay, so what you'll do is you have that. You'll have one extender in. And you actually put in this, and it gives you a backrest. Actually, you'll put it in like this, and it gives you a backrest.
Recording.
Okay, so you put them in, and you'll put the first one there. You'll put the second one, and you'll put that on top. And I just do this. Other people, I'm sure, have other little tips and tricks. And now you have a bench. So you can do it on both sides. We usually don't, just because we don't like taking down the bed and all of that. So, but that's how you have your bench. So, and it would be plenty of seating for 2 on each side, and then you could always put a chair right here, so you would actually have seating for 5.
Works good.
So, right. Okay, so when you're setting up, it's important to make sure that this tent is actually lined up. The reason is you've got to be able to put this in these slots. So, these are not lined up because the tent moved, and when that happens, you cannot line it up the way Jumping Jack wants you to, so that they become secure, because you have to get under the railing. So right now it did, but about 5 minutes ago it was absolutely horrible. So that is probably, I don't know that I would call it a design flaw for the seating, because they have the rail system. I would say that they need to figure out something to make it to where the tent doesn't move forward and back. I don't know how they're going to do that, and still have it waterproof and have it to where you can remove the tent to allow for the use of just the trailer. But that should probably be looked at. So. So when it comes to breakdown, everybody seems to do a breakdown video. They don't though. Oh yeah, they do.
Well, they do like a setup and a breakdown, and this is how you put the mattresses on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Did you want to mention the mattress being too small?
Oh yeah. Okay. So with the Blackout version, and actually all of the versions, 2017 and newer, they changed the design of the actual trailer, the metal that's on the trailer, and it's actually wider. It's a wider trailer. And so at the expo, we noticed that the padding is too small in width and length. And so it doesn't actually fit the space. It could be longer, it could be wider. And their reasoning was specifically that when they changed the trailer, it would have actually cost more to redesign the mats, the pads, to where it actually fits. So they opted not to, because then it would cost more. I understand their point of view, but I'm not in agreement with it, because that seems very lazy to me. I know that sounds probably harsh, but it is. It's laziness. They changed one component of the trailer, and when other things did not match up, they just left it and made an excuse, in my mind.
Show them what you're talking about.
So, you've got the trailer. If you look in here, you'll see that it's got room. And then, up there, it's got room. And so, when you actually set it up with a bed, if you push it all the way back, it has metal exposed right here. And this one is, again, not fitting right because the tent has moved. But there's metal exposed. And their answer to that was, well, we don't really want you touching any of the sides, so you need to pull it forward. And so that actually, if you do that, if you do what they're telling you to do, it leaves that much. So I don't know if it actually does anything, if it changes anything by you touching that side if there's rain, but their excuse was that they made the trailer bigger and they didn't want to change the mattress because it would cost money. So, go.
Recording? All right. So, as you can see, we got most of the trailer pretty much put away. We just don't have the wings done. But we had to get the case to the tent pretty much wrapped up and zipped up to be able to get to the table. But I'll show you the table real quick. Like I said, I got the bungee cords holding it on there to keep the rattling a little better. Ooh. But I'll go ahead and pull that off real quick, take it over into the shade, and show you how it sets up. There are you way.
Go.
Recording? Okay. Alright, so this is just pulled off of it. It's got two slits up in the front. Table sits into that and it kind of rattles back and forth. That's why I had it bungee corded, but I just basically lifted it straight off the front of the trailer, leaned it up against there. This is the legs. Comes in a decent little canvas bag. Some of the canvas rips a little bit, so I guess it's not the best, but these legs, it's gonna have a little screw foot on there. This is basically gonna slide into the slot and then you tighten it with that, and that's gonna be the bottom of the foot. That's what's gonna be on the ground. So let me go ahead and first one as an example. It's got a little bit of a lip on there, so you got to unscrew it quite a bit. So that's on, very loose. Just twist it to tighten it. And it's going to lock in a square on the inside, so that's not going to spin. All you got to do is turn this and that's going to tighten it. So I'll go put the other 4 back on there, show you what it's like when it's all assembled. Alright, yeah, there you go. So as you can see, legs are fairly sturdy, being able to tilt it up onto the legs and put pressure on it. That, on the other hand, is not very sturdy. This is actually one of the better times that we've had it. Usually a leg sticking up. You got to be on pretty even ground to make it anything worthwhile. Using it like this would be a little bit sketchy. I suppose you could store some things on it, but it's very strong as far as the top goes and the mesh. And the legs are pretty strong as well, as long as you have them nice and tight. But to put anything fragile, cooking, a lot of use or something like that, not sure about it. Now, there are some people that have found ways to stick this up against the side of the trailer or the back of the trailer and use a mounting like a bungee cord or something like that and make it a little more stable. With the jumping jack, it seems a little harder because nothing lines up right because it is a higher trailer. With a regular jumping jack, you can pretty much line it up and it works a lot better that way. But for us, we haven't really figured out a way to stabilize this, so we haven't been using it. But it is a good usable surface area and it's part of the trailer, so hopefully we'll find a way to put it to use and good use here soon. Be a nice kitchen, really. So that's basically the table. I'm going to go ahead and disassemble it again, throw it back on there, and I'm going to show you the water holders on the side. Focused on it? Touch it? You got to touch it every time.
Yep.
Okay. Alright, one thing I wanted to mention too, these little carabiner thing is going to latch onto here, onto the inside. If you try to unscrew this, it's just going to knot itself up, so make sure that you pull this off, let it hang or rest it in your hand when you're twisting it, and it's going to make life a whole lot easier. So just a little tip on it. Okay. Okay, so now for the water containers. It was kind of hard to see it with the wings open, but if you look right here, right above the blackjack, there's 2 slots here in the beam for the support. These right here, you got your little tongues, lips right there. Very simply sits in like that. So it's going to slide back and forth a little bit. Now it's just putting it all the way back. And one thing I learned, I'm going to slide this in real quick. Leaking. You're going to have to strap this in very well as the jug. So the first time that I actually put these on the side for travel, I put some ratchet straps down here on the frame itself, and we lost the jug off in the wind somewhere on the freeway. So maybe bungee cord that or something, but secure this very, very well, because it does move around a little bit. It can come out pretty easy. So it's not a very refined fit, but as long as you strap it in really good, it should be good. And you can also pick some nice colors to match the trailer and make it look the way you want, and make it personal, you know. That's what I'm going to do. Alright, on each side, and functional. Not the best, but they do work. So there you go. Oh, what happened to the focus? Okay, so I don't know if it's going to get my face detection, but yeah, one last thing. I mentioned it before with the lights. I didn't have it hooked up with the lights. I'm going to go ahead and run through and show you what the LEDs look like, the crystal LEDs. So I got it on, it's daytime, but it's daytime. So it's going to be a little bit brighter at nighttime, and you know how that goes, but just to show you. It's daytime. It's not the best. I could have put the 4-ways on, but you get the point. The tail lights themselves are quite a bit brighter when you hit the brakes or turn signal 4-way. The markers are just markers. They're not hooked up to the turn signal at all. The 3 dots in the middle are just markers, and the turn signal, 4-ways, brakes, and tail lights are the long oval tail lights. So that's the way they have that hooked up. Definitely wouldn't be bad to get a 2-way LED for some of the markers, just for a turn signal, hook it into the turn signals. If you're handy like that and you feel like doing it, it's going to give a little more notification that you're getting over, but I don't really worry about it. I'm probably not going to do anything like that. So we're going to go ahead, and we're pretty much packed up. We're going to say our see-yas, and we'll be right back with you with a little bit of a closing. All right, so anyway, we are done. We didn't do much of a camping video this time. It was mostly just focused right on the jumping jack.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Oh, yeah.
Wheel chocks.
We're
Coming
new to this.
Oh, that's okay. I just noticed it. I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, there's wheel chocks there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Don't forget your wheel chocks. We are all finished up. Hope you enjoyed our video on the jumping jack. We did not do much of a camping video this time. Usually that's what we do. We just kind of show the area that we're at, some drone B-roll and all kinds of different stuff like that. We didn't do it this time. It was mostly just to get you guys some information on what we think about the jumping jack, some of the goods and bads, and our review on it. I think there might be a couple things that we might have forgot. Like I said, we didn't have any script or anything for this. We just kind of went with it. So
If you guys do see anything that we missed, or there's some items that we didn't touch on that you would like us to touch on, shoot us a comment, any suggestions, and if we're able to, we will at a later time go ahead and film that information.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, thanks for making it to the end. I'm not sure exactly how long this video is going to be yet, but
I did warn you to pack a snack.
yeah, we should have started it that way. Got your snacks, got your coffee. But yeah, we have a lot of information on this. I'm going to try to edit it down in a quick edit. Not a lot of fancy stuff. Like I was saying, it's just going to be kind of utilitarian, I guess, as far as the video goes. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And like she said, any comments or anything like that, anything that you think that we might have missed, or things you want to touch on or talk about or anything like that, absolutely feel free to drop a comment in there. And you know, if you can, hit that share button if you know somebody interested in a jumping jack, or subscribe if you like these kind of videos. We'll be doing little tiny reviews here and there, and camping stuff if you like camping. So absolutely hit that subscribe, share, like. That about it?
That's it.
All right, well.
Pups are sleeping.
Yep, got the dogs packed up. So all right, well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. See ya.
Bye.